always giving people the benefit of the doubt, getting out of those negative thought patterns where they're perpetuated by you making choices that continue to maybe not say yes to things or not put yourself out there. Hello, and welcome to Holistic Ambition, where we talk with visionary leaders who are redefining what it means to be successful and ambitious. We cover ways that you can live with more well-being, meaning, and fun in your career, business, and relationships. I am your host, Stephanie Thoma, author of Confident Introvert and life coach for ambitious professionals. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, I am excited to share two key mindset reframes that more or less eliminated my social anxiety. So this isn't to say that it was overnight. However, that was the ultimate impact. And, I'll start with giving you a very high level what the tips are, but you'll definitely want to stick around because there are so many nuances in these, especially if you have experienced a sense of social anxiety and you feel like you are held back from expressing your gifts, from being the most socially connected person that you could be, and really reaping the benefits of feeling like you have aligned, close, fun friendships, then this is just for you. So this was around the time when I first moved to San Francisco. And, the two steps are always choose the bolder choice. The second one is centered around not reading between the lines. Okay, so let's go into one at a time. You may be thinking, okay, that's pretty straightforward. However, how do you do that? Especially if you're an overthinker, like I know I certainly have been. So always choose the bolder choice. I came up with this as a sort of New Year's resolution to keep it open-ended. Instead of having specific goals, I realized that every now and then, every day, in fact, we're typically faced with two options or even more options. But let's say there's the option of going to that event or staying home. I'll give you a prime example of this where my social calendar was quite full in, I believe it was the summer of 2018. And during the summer, I pretty much had every single weekend booked. Just know that we have calibrated since then. That is no longer the case, but every weekend except for one. So I thought, okay, keeping that intentionally open, just to relax. My plan during that weekend is to relax. However, a friend of mine reached out and said, hey, I actually have a ticket to a personal and professional development conference at this retreat center that I can't go to, but I thought of you. I think you'd really enjoy it. It was a high value ticket, 4 figures. And, I almost said no right away, just despite the monetary value. I was like, I told myself that I'd rest this weekend. But then, thank goodness, I just kind of sat with it. I think I even gave it overnight, hopefully, just hoping hopefully she doesn't give it away to someone else because it is coming right up. But I got back to her and I said, I'm going to entertain that it's meant to be. I did want to rest that weekend, but this actually sounds like there's a lot more mystery to it. And yeah, I'm excited. Like, let's plug into this. Thank you so much. And that going to that particular conference, I was in a room with public speakers, with published authors, with people who had businesses that had valuations that were in, 6, 7 figures. So I was definitely in a room that was elevated than other rooms that I had previously been in, and it changed my life. If I did not choose the bolder choice, it would have been somewhat easy, right? It's easy for us. Maybe we don't have something like an invitation like that, and it was also bold because I didn't know how I was going to get there without a car. It was about 2 hours away. So I had to figure out, okay, how do I get this whole travel thing? And of course, where there is a will, there is a way. You'll make it work. And in that case, I did. And the connections that I made, the expanders that I was around, really made an impact in how I show up and what I'm doing in my life today. And it's one of those examples of having two choices where, okay, what would be more comfortable? What would be more comfortable is taking a breather and maybe just sticking to the plan, sticking to the plan of, no, that's my one weekend. I'm relaxing that weekend. Thank you, but no, thank you. When instead being flexible and deciding, okay, of the two options that I am currently aware of, which one feels bolder? Which one feels like, ooh, a badass would do that thing? So that became a habit. It became habitual. I constantly, whenever there was a decision to make, and it wasn't even always about going out versus staying in, although that was a large part of it. It became about, what feels a little more edgy, a little less comfortable, and not with the intention of just throwing myself in uncomfortable situations to be a masochist, but typically these were situations that would be expanding, where maybe I would be the only type of person in that particular room. It could be male dominated. It could be, super high tech. It could be whatever it is, whatever I felt like, ooh, that's not totally me, but I'm curious to be in the vicinity of people that, are of this caliber, that are embodying this thing that maybe I don't even care to embody myself, but just to be in the presence of people who are different than me. Right? So it's being more intentional and defining what bold means for yourself is going to really benefit you if you choose to choose the bolder choice. And, the second one here of not reading between the lines. I know some of you may be scratching your heads like, what? Isn't that something that most people say that you should do? However, if you are an overthinker, have you ever had the experience where you were reading between lines and maybe it wasn't serving you? Maybe it was keeping you from choosing the bolder choice. Maybe it was keeping you from going ahead and, putting yourself out there. Reading between the lines, maybe your default was that, people, different thoughts, that like people don't like you, you're not well received, you're too much, you're not enough, you're this, you're that. And I will say it kind of depends on the culture as well. For example, this may work better in a larger city versus, being in the South, for example, where there are certain personality dynamics that people are more accustomed to, right? Direct communication versus indirect. However, no matter where you go, there may be trends, but you're going to get a mix, right? And I do, there is an example of, like, let's say that someone invites you to something. And actually, this happened somewhat recently since moving to Austin. So this example is a little more fresh, but I specifically remember receiving an invitation. So there was a group of people at this event. And, there was the host and a bunch of their friends. And it was one of those things where I kind of stuck around until the end. I was meeting new people, new to the city. And at the end, basically the host said bye, and they're on their way. They're leaving the event. And I'm just thinking, okay, I wonder what I can get into tonight, and just being open to it. And then the host comes back after kind of talking with a few people in her group and says, kind of half-heartedly, honestly, do you want to go with us? And if I was reading between the lines, and if I was overthinking it, like, she's saying that just like to be nice, maybe she doesn't really want me to come, this or that, then I would have missed out on what was a very interesting experience that followed. So anyway, not reading between the lines enabled me to be like, okay, what's right in front of me? She is asking me to an event. I'm not going to read between the lines and look into her tone too much or anything like that. And certainly, let's be real, there are some situations where you do want to kind of look at the nuances to make an informed choice. However, when you're prone to overthinking, don't do that, at least for a period of time. Try it for at least a month. I would even say try it for at least a year and see how your life transforms. Always giving people the benefit of the doubt, getting out of those negative thought patterns where they're perpetuated by you making choices that continue to maybe not say yes to things or not put yourself out there because of something that's really perpetuated by you in your reality. And other people can pick up on that even energetically. There is something magnetic about being in social spaces with the awareness that you're meant to be there. You bring value, not that you bring more value, not that you deserve to be there more than others, but that whatever space you're in, whether people are more advanced in their careers, less advanced in their careers, you believe that you deserve to be there and other people deserve to be there too. And, I have I have had experiences during this particular journey of, let's say, overthinking, not taking enough chances, and then maybe over-calibrating, right? This is how we find equilibrium. Or maybe we make choices and maybe it would have been nice to kind of look at the nuances. But let's say that I'm speaking to you right now and you're not there yet, you're over here. So in order to get here, you might think, oh, baby steps to here. No, I want you to over-calibrate, to then swing back into the middle and find what is your happy medium. But in order to do that, we're going to get a little extreme because you're already extreme right now. Let's embrace the other side of the extreme. And I know this can feel edgy and you could feel like you're turning your spidey senses off. Maybe you're an empath, maybe, but then again, are you really picking up on the reality of the situation? It's important, especially when our reality is not what we would most like, to question, is that even true? Is that even real? What if I went through life a little bit delusionally thinking that I'm a part of the world, I'm a good part of this world, right? If you don't truly believe that in this moment, it's time to start acting like it. And it's not to be confused with faking it till you make it. If you've seen my work before, I'm not an advocate of any of that fakeness. It's just the truth. It's getting acquainted with the truth of who you really are, bypassing that conditioning in your subconscious mind that has told you otherwise, from yourself, from other people, from meaning that you made from experiences in your past. So when I say don't read between the lines, not only do I want you to not really think too much about if someone's intention is pure or not, when they're inviting you to something. This isn't to be confused with putting yourself in dangerous situations or not using discretion in dating. Let's put that out there. But social situations, invitations, and, when someone says, oh, I'd like to help you out, I'd like to make this intro for you, where maybe your default is, that's so much of a burden, or no, the other day I was on a walk with a group of people and I was freezing. I was not prepared for the weather and people could tell. And it was such kindness. Someone literally said, oh, I have an extra hood. So I'm like, it looks kind of silly, whatever. Thank you so much. I put this random hood on me. I tied the little bow just for added effect. And then this other person is like, hey, I have some running gloves. He was about to put them on himself. But he's like, do you want to wear these? And I'm like, oh no, but you're cold. He's like, you're colder. And I'm like, you know what? Thank you. I will borrow these for an hour and a half with appreciation. So, sometimes there's a fine line between being conscientious and overthinking. You are as worthy of wearing the gloves as the other person is. And when people are offering, this is your opportunity to be receptive and assume positive intent. And if someone does have authentically positive intent, it's going to feel really good for everyone. If, let's say, a person is stuck in a cycle of niceness versus kindness, and they are making an invitation or a gesture that is not genuine to them, they might feel kind of bad, and it's not your problem. You still deserve to feel good about it. So I know that there is some food for thought there, and it can feel a bit radical. But to wrap us up here, number one, I would like you to always choose the bolder choice. Number two, I would like you to consider, at least for a period of time, not reading between the lines. Wishing you a beautifully connected day inside and out. Until next time.